Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast, brought to you by the Draft Professor. The Draft Professor is a group of podcasters bringing you daily draft podcasts and is home to the only dynamic mock draft simulator which allows fans to mock draft against other fans. The Draft Professor Simulator features a first-round challenge, 5 unique one-round drafts. The Draft Professor Simulator features a second-round challenge, 10 unique 2-round drafts. All mock drafts are always picking against the fans and draft analysts which use the simulator. Every mock, every pick, every time. The Draft Professor also features ranked players functionality, where you can rank your favorite players at every position. Optionally, you can add tiers to your rankings to show what round you have the players graded in. The Draft Professor also features Draft a Team functionality, which allows users to snake draft a team of 22 players to demonstrate your my guys, compare player strengths, and discuss draft prospects in a way no other mock draft simulator can. Thank you for tuning in to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. This episode will begin shortly. Well, welcome to Mrs. R Relevant, the Daily Draft Podcast, joined this evening by Drew and Toriono. And you guys hadn't met until about 5 minutes ago. So, Toriono, Drew, it's nice to meet each other.
Yeah, for sure. It's been too long. So I'm glad we finally got to be on here together.
Oh, yeah. Excited to talk ball.
Cool. So we did a 2-round mock yesterday with our guest, Jake. Today, we're going to continue to do round 3 of the same mock. And part of the idea is, who's Drew going to pound the table for, or who is Toriono going to pound the table for? Based upon their boards as it exists 64 picks into a draft. So we have in round 3, we have, I believe, the New York Giants are at the top of the order. And I believe they've drafted Travis Hunter and Jalen Milroe. So do you guys thinking this is offensive line, or do you think that they would be going defense or corner?
Yeah, I think it's between those two. Probably interior offensive line or boundary guy. Yeah, Kobe Bryant's first guy that jumps off the page to me is a boundary guy. I really like Upton Stout and Jacob Parrish, but they're both pretty clear nickels to me.
I like Zach Frazier as an outside.
Zach Frazier's, yeah, I'm a big Zach Frazier guy too. I think he's going to go a lot earlier than people expect. I'd be surprised if he gets out of day 2.
So do you like Zach Frazier at the top of round 3, or do you just like him sometime during the next 35 picks?
I mean, with those kind of athletic traits, the way he tested and the way he moves on tape at his size, I don't think it's that much of a reach, especially if you really need a boundary guy. I'd probably take Kobe Bryant over him, but I do really like Zach Frazier.
What do you think, Toriono?
I think here, looking at their draft, I think they probably still go offensive heavy. If I were them at this selection, I think you could still find. I think they have. Do they have another 3rd round pick? If I'm not mistaken, or no?
I think they've got a couple. Do they have a comp pick? Yes, they have a comp pick.
Okay. Yeah, they have a comp pick. Okay. Yeah, I would go interior offensive line here from a value standpoint. Just looking at the board, I think you can still get a boundary corner at the tail end of the 3rd. I like Wyatt Milam. I think converting him from tackle to guard is exactly what he needs coming into the pros. Luke Kandra is another steal for me. Wyatt Milam, I had a 2nd-round grade on him, so getting him here at the top of the 3rd would be my selection. But, Drew, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually agree. I think he's the highest-rated interior offensive line on the board for me. I think I have an early 3rd grade on him, so this is about right where I take him.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so Kansas City did Donovan Jackson and Alec Manor.
Ooh, I like those fits. Is that Marion Hampton still on the board? Wow.
So they needed.
That feels
Yeah.
pretty good.
So Hampton's here. I think Judkins still is too.
And
Wow.
Johnson.
I mean,
Wow.
that's pretty crazy board. I feel like it has to be Hampton here, right?
Yeah. I think
That's a crazy steal.
that's a crazy steal.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Chiefs wouldn't let him get past. I don't think the Chiefs will let him get past them.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And you see, sometimes these are easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, we're right in line.
Right in line.
Hopefully we can have this the whole night.
So the Browns did Shadur Sanders and Luther Burden.
Another nice draft.
Sure, and Luther. Okay.
So I'm thinking corner, receiver, or line.
Could also they still have a big hole at
Oh, wait.
tackle.
Yeah,
So
I like.
so you want to start talking about some of your guys here, Drew? Like, are you like thinking round 3, Holland Pierce, Logan Brown, and then you've got one other guy that we haven't mentioned yet.
Is Belton still on the board? Doesn't look like
Anthony
it.
Belton
He
is
might just
also
be low.
still on the board, I believe.
Belton would be my choice
wow.
here. He's the highest graded for me. But I do love me some Holland Pierce and Logan Brown. Those guys aren't far behind.
Toriono, how do you handicap the offensive tackles that are available?
For me, I have, if I were to rank them in order, in terms of having like the complete athletic profile and just being a ball of clay, which is what the Browns like to do, I would think they would take Charles Grant here. He is just a complete ball of clay in terms of being an offensive lineman from a hand usage, foot, athletic testing. Like he's pretty much everything that you're looking for, but it's just continuing to develop and playing at a higher level. I think he has the intangibles to be a starting tackle. So if you were to put him at that left tackle position, I think he's going to need a season or two for the fans to be pleased with him. But I think he's a good development tackle here at the top of the third. If you're looking for somebody to come in pro ready, it might be Belton or Ozzie Trapillo.
Okay, so I heard Belton's name come from both of you.
Yep. I think Charles Grant seems like a very Browns pick, though. I think.
Yeah, he seems like a very Browns pick.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance that I don't think the two of you are going to agree on Charles Grant.
I'm much lower on him. I don't agree with many people on Charles Grant, so I'm not really surprised on that.
No, and that's going to be completely okay. But so Toriono, so that you know, like Drew and Parker, they probably podcast offensive line 3 out of 4 times a month. So 3 out of their 4 podcasts every month, there are some flavor of offensive line. And it is hysterical how different Drew and Parker are on offensive line. But I also know that Drew and Charles Grant are probably not going to be mentioned in the same sentence.
Usually not.
Yeah.
So the Raiders
Biggest get.
have done Revel.
Genty, I assume?
No, it wouldn't have been. It was T-Mac and Revel.
So they got, you said McMillan and Revel. Okay, so they got.
Is this TJ Sanders? Do you guys like TJ Sanders in round 3?
I don't. I'm a lot lower.
Okay.
Looking at how the board stacked up,
and they did just re-sign that interior defensive lineman to a pretty hefty contract, didn't they? I can never remember his name for the life of me.
Christian Wilkins. They signed a big name guy last offseason in Christian Wilkins.
They brought back a guy who developed into a pretty nice starting piece for the life of me. I can't remember his name, but I think they still have a pretty big hole at edge. Honestly, opposite.
Yeah, I would go edge here.
Max Crosby.
Right here, I like Ivy here.
Yeah, like probably Ivy or Gelati. I think those are probably both great picks. Ivy does a good job, kind of adding a different flavor of edge, opposite of Crosby, gives you a different skill set there.
Exactly.
Okay, so the Patriots have done, I believe it's Travis Hunter.
I think he was the Giants.
No, it was Abdul Carter. I'm sorry. It was Abdul Carter, followed by Ariante Ursary.
Okay, so they got their left tackle and their edge one.
They need a receiver.
Yeah, I know you just signed Stephon Diggs, but I don't think you can really rely on him to be a major piece. Feels like you need some more boost in there. Jack Vesh is the guy that screams out to me right here.
So
Honestly, I like Jack Betch, but I don't like him for what I predict the Patriots will do. If they're looking for a guy that's going to be able to go get the deep ball while also being a prominent blocker, it'll probably come out to Tay Felton or Trey Harris, one of those bigger body X type guys. I think they'll probably play Stephon Diggs more as a Z, as a move guy. Um, I think his days as a true X are over in terms of like athletically, but I think he can give you some minutes there. I think they might go Felton or Trey Harris.
I could see if they really like need a true guy they can put out at X that fits the physical profile. I could see Trey Harris for that.
Is Ty Felton really a prototypical X? Because I would think that Ty Felton is like a Stephon Diggs light. So if you would move Diggs around, you would likely move Felton around too.
I mean, I think you could play Felton at X. I don't think he's a guy that like can't play there, under any circumstances. I think Felton's pretty fluid. You can play him at all three spots. Yeah. But I think if you want like a guy that looks like a more prototypical X, it's probably going to be Harris.
Let's go Harris. Okay, so Toriono, I saw your comment about the Jags pick. I'm guessing Mason Graham was okay, but Jalen Noel was not exactly to your liking that early.
Noel, I've seen people mock him as early as the early second round. I have him outside of the top 40. I do think he's a second round selection. Personally, I'm kind of getting more so into falling in love with a prospect at a spot with Xavier Watts at 36. So it wasn't the home run that I was looking for. And I didn't know if Jaden Higgins was available. I would rather Jaden Higgins for this roster. Just more so from a fit standpoint. But I do like Noel as a prospect. He's one of my guys.
Okay.
I think what are you thinking here? You took a defensive tackle, you took a wide receiver. They have to address the secondary here, whether it's safety or corner. Looking at the corners and the safeties on the board, I think you can get Noel Williams at 88, so I'm not going to take him here. I think you have to go between Kevin Winston Jr. or Makuba. I'd be happy with either one. If we're looking for somebody with a higher ceiling, it's probably going to be Winston here.
Okay. Saints. I believe the Saints were Josh Simmons and Emeka Egbuka.
Ooh, another nice
okay.
Ohio State back-to-back.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is another team that they hold edge. They don't have really anybody who's a major presence on there. And their core pieces are kind of getting older. I like David Walker a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, he's probably the guy that jumps off the page most to me right here. Just completely dominant.
I'm really hoping that not a lot of guys in the league like David Walker, so he somehow falls to the Jags in the 4th round. Like, I absolutely love the kid. I think he can definitely elevate his play when he steps into the NFL.
Oh, yeah. His speed to power is so lethal. I have a hard time seeing him fall out of day 2, but if the NFL gets really hung up on the D2 label, maybe.
Yeah, or the size factor, him being about
the arms are a problem if they don't like the short arms. He's got the 31.5-inch arms. They're pretty short.
So the Bears have done Will Johnson, Landon Jackson, Travion Henderson.
Okay,
and I think they could use interior defensive line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how does your board stack up with the guys that are left? Like between like Jordan Phillips, CJ West, Omar Norman Lott, TJ Sanders, Torriano. Any of those guys jump out at you for round 3?
For them, I feel like for the Bears roster, I feel like they need more run stopping, if I'm not mistaken. They don't really need interior pass rush. If I was going to run stopper here, I'd go CJ West.
That was the guy that kind of jumped off the page to me. Is Darius Alexander's not on the board, is he?
He is not. He went to Green Bay in round 2.
Gotcha. Then, yeah, CJ West is probably the guy for me out of this.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go CJ West there. That'd be a really good pick for them.
He's got a really nice blend of pass rushing upside and just a really solid day 1 run defender.
Exactly.
So the Jets, Armand Membu and then Xavier Watts.
This feels like Jack Besh to me.
Yeah.
That they need a guy opposite of Garrett Wilson. They can use him. I still think he can play X if you wanted to put him out there. I think even with the limited athleticism, he could probably play that role. But I know the NFL teams might see him more as a power slot. But I think he can work in New York as a power slot as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the Panthers. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I've never really seen Garrett really operate too much out of the slot. He plays in the slot a little bit, but he's primarily outside too, right?
Yeah, I was talking about Besh in the slot, not Wilson.
Oh yeah. But I like finding a place for Besh. Like I think he would really complement Wilson there.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. Sorry, yeah, I got flipped around there. Yeah, he would.
And I think that gives you flexibility later in the draft because the Jets need a tight end. But if you have Besh can behave, or you can use him like some of the Y tight ends, and you can get more of an inline blocker later.
For sure. Yeah. He can step into that role pretty easily.
Okay, so the Panthers, this is one of the interesting drafts. Did Kenneth Grant and then Kyle Kennard. So their line is definitely overhauled. They, I believe, could go corner or receiver here. And I think if there's a tight end that jumps out at you, like Arroyo is still here.
Arroyo's still on the board.
As is Helm. As is, I think, the Notre Dame. Yeah. Ferguson is still here.
Ferguson's there. I think for them, if I'm looking at their overall receiving core, they don't really have primary targets. If I'm looking for somebody that's going to be a partner in crime for Bryce Young, especially after primarily addressing the D-line, I'm taking Harold Fannin and running the card up because he's shown that he can be a target volume type guy. If this were to happen, he's going first round in fantasy in terms of rookie drafts because he's going to get the ball. And he's going to be able to stay on the field as an inline blocker, not as like a primary blocker, but I think he can still hold his own based off the tape. He's a willing blocker. He has the strength and the profile. So I think he's going to be able to get on the field early for a team like Carolina.
So, Drew, where are you on Fannin?
Yeah, I'm somebody that's been kind of averse to Fannin so far through this whole draft cycle. I've been in the anti-Fannin camp. He's like a early fifth for me, I think, so I'm a lot lower on him. He's a day 3 guy for me. I can kind of understand the appeal, but I think like with guys like Arroyo on the board and Noel Williams still being on the board for a team like this, plus they still really need a guy out wide. Noel Williams is probably my favorite option, but I understand if you need a receiving threat. I probably
want to go receiver here.
I don't hate receiver for them. They still they got some complimentary pieces. Like I love Jalen Coker, but I think you still use I'm a big Savion Williams guy. I know that's not super popular, but I love Savion here. I don't hate Ty Felton here. I can see Jalen Royals.
So which receivers do you like here, Toriono?
In terms of a film and analytics standpoint, I like Jalen Royals here. I think he could have a lot of upside in this offense. He does a lot of things similarly to Jalen Coker, though. Isaiah Bond as a field stretcher could be nice. If they're looking for a true boundary guy, Torrey Horton could get this
Torrey
high.
Horton was a guy I don't think gets mentioned quite enough.
You guys like Horton here in the middle of round 3?
I think he's a mid-third for me right now, mid to late 3rd grade. So
yeah, I mean, I think Horton could be a good fit. There.
He's super fluid in his size. He stretches the field well. He's awesome against zone coverage. He does a great job settling down and fighting the holes.
Yeah. It'd be a nice partner in crime for Bryce.
San Francisco, in my opinion, is having a sneaky good draft. They did Jahdae Barron in round 1 and Josh Connerly in round 2.
That's far for Connerly.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, so Connerly dropped a little bit, but like I said, that makes San Francisco having a good draft. What are you guys thinking? Like interior defensive line?
Yeah, that was my first thought. This feels like I'm higher on Peebles, but I could see TJ Sanders here too. I know people really like TJ Sanders. I think probably one of those two to San Fran right here.
Yeah, I think if they're looking for more pass rush, I would go Peebles. I think he has the potential to really be a instant impact in terms of getting some interior push.
Okay, so Dallas in round 3. They have taken Benjamin Morrison, Will Campbell, and Benjamin Morrison.
Feels like another team that probably
is
needs
there a
receivers.
running back we like here, or are
I mean,
we
Caleb
looking-
Johnson's still sitting right there.
Caleb Johnson, and then wasn't one of the other
I think
Ohio
Judkins
State
is still
backs
there too.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I think you run the card up for Judkins.
Judkins is another guy I've been way off consensus on. I think he's like my running back 15, so I'm a lot lower on him. But I love Caleb Johnson. Yeah, I'm really low on him. I'm a big eyes guy. I don't think Judkins' eyes are very good. I don't think he reads, especially at the second level. I think he kind of shuts down. But I'm really high on Caleb Johnson. I love that fit. But I know a lot of people.
You got to be a
Does Dallas run? What is it? Caleb Johnson, an outside zone runner?
Yeah, he was. I mean, Iowa ran a lot of zone, but honestly, I think he's pretty. I think he can kind of operate regardless of scheme because his vision is that good, and I think he's so manipulative with his feet. Second level defenders, I think he could work in gap or zone.
Do you like Caleb Johnson here, Toriono?
I like Caleb Johnson here.
Fantastic.
But I'm sure Judkins will go soon. I'm not blind to the fact that I'm way below consensus on that. So,
well, and Judkins may only drop one more spot, right? So the Patriots have done Trey Harris. They did Ariante Ursary.
And then Abdul Carter.
Is this a guard? Is this a running back, or is this a tight end?
I still think Hunter Henry's giving me enough to kick tight end down the road a little bit. I probably say I could see running back or I could see guard. I think those are both pretty equal.
I would probably go running back here unless you think Luke Kandra is a better prospect than Judkins, but I think Judkins has a little bit more upside. Obviously, the eyes aren't what you want them to be, but in terms of down-to-down back, I think he's easily the starting back on that team day one.
Yeah, Ramondre's kind of started to slow down. You're ready to move on to a new guy. And Judkins is so damn violent. I mean, he just hates defenders. So, I like him getting in early downs. Fits up with Vrabel up there in Miami.
He fits what Vrabel wants.
Yeah, for sure. He's got that mentality.
So the Cardinals are up. They've done Jalen Walker and Alfred Collins.
Jalen Walker, interesting fit there.
Is this a corner?
This could be Noel Williams. I don't.
Kobe Bryant, Noel Williams are here.
I don't know if they need a nickel. You could also look at like a Jacob Parrish here. If we're going pure outside guy, I like Noel Williams a lot.
I think they might be the team. They might be the team to bite on Kobe Bryant.
See that?
They don't mind. They don't mind skinny corners. I think they're more so looking for. I hate the term just to use this terminology for everyone, but dogs. Like what Gannon wants to do on the outside.
That is Kobe Bryant.
That is Bryant. Like
he has so much
exactly
fight
the type of corner he wants.
For a guy who in a corner, a class full of corners that can't tackle, the 170-pound corner is the one that comes up and just will knock somebody's lights out the most, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think that's what Gannon's looking for.
Yep.
Okay. So the Texans, this is a different draft. They got Tyler Warren in round 1.
There's no offensive line for C.J. Stroud, huh?
And round 2, we got a Marcus Bowes.
Okay.
So I can see this pick going a lot of different ways. Like, there's receivers here, which would include Ty Felton, Savion Williams, Pat Bryant, Jalen Royals.
Still feels like this needs to be offensive line to me. Whether you see, I don't know who it was that drafted Bo, but whether you see him as a guard or tackle, you still need kind of the other one. I see him as a tackle, so I go guard here. But I know some people see him interior, so if you see him that way, you might need to go tackle here.
Where are you between
Yeah.
Miles Frazier, Emory Jones, and Luke Kandra, Toriano?
Between those three, you said Emory Jones, Miles Frazier, and Luke Kandra.
Correct.
I have Kandra at the top, Emory Jones at 2, and then Frazier at 3. I think
Is there
Kandra.
anybody that you think that you would have higher than Kandra that's still available? Like Dylan Fairchild, maybe, or
Jalen Rivers is still there.
And Jalen Rivers, Logan Brown is also still here.
Yeah, I like. I wonder why Chase Lunt is there at guard. He's more of a pure tackle to me.
And it could have been that Parker and Drew guy.
It was
one of
we
them wanted
flipped
guard for a ranking. I mean,
hey, that was Parker. I love Chase Line out wide. He loves those tiny little guards that can move. I don't know why. But we flipped a lot of these positions around when we were doing our rankings.
And then Brandon's here, our resident Texans fan. So Brandon, you are like
Brandon's
our favorite Texans fan because we don't find Texans fans on Twitter. So it's awesome that you're here.
If I were to take a guard here, I would take Luke Kandra. If I were to take a tackle, I would take Cam Williams. So it's more so based on what the team is looking for after Mbo. If they think he's a right tackle, obviously you go guard. Honestly, I think they need left and right tackle even after signing Cam Robinson. If you're going to go tackle, you're either taking, for the scheme that they like to use, I would probably go Ajani Cornelius.
But what do you think? Cornelius, Drew?
He's barely scraping a 7th round grade. I'm real close to putting a PFA on him.
Really?
That's probably some of the most adverse I've been to some tape that I've watched this whole cycle. I think his run blocking is the only thing keeping him on the board for me. But yeah, I mean, if we're going pure tackle,
what do you think about Cam Williams?
I like Cam Williams. It's maybe a little bit early for me, but the tools are there. I think it's a guy you're planning on developing. I don't know how much I love him starting day one, but the length is there. I think
like if they plan on playing Cam Robinson year one, I think Cam Williams could be a good development tackle right behind him, and then start him the year after.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool. Okay, so we needed a high RAS player for the Colts. In round one, they did Walter Nolan.
Oh.
It's not Deion Walker.
Round 2, Parsons Schwessinger.
That's got to be Arroyo, right? I know the injuries are here, but during round 3, he's like tape-wise for me, he's like a top 50 guy. If it weren't for the injury concerns, I think he would have been long gone by now. They still have that big hole at tight end.
I love Arroyo. Yeah. There's a reason he's at the top of the board.
Yeah, let's go Arroyo.
There we go.
Okay. The Bengals. In round 1, Derek Harmon.
Ooh,
and in round 2, Braden Swinson.
Ooh, I'm a big fan.
I like that.
Is this Andrew Makuba?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. Well, they still need safety help. I think you probably take a long, hard look at guard, too. I think they really need somebody in the interior still.
This could be the Luke Kandra team.
Could be. I think Luke Kandra probably fits what they want to do. I have Miles Frazier higher, but I think Kandra is a good fit in Cincy.
Okay.
0 sacks given up last year, too. And two
career Cincinnati kids staying in Cincinnati.
There we go.
Okay, so this is Seattle's first of their 2 second-round picks, and they've had a pretty good draft. I believe round 1 was Nick Emenwari.
Love that fit.
Making sure I get the pick right. Yep.
There we go.
And then in round 2, they did Zabel with Higgins.
Okay.
Does this feel like a wide receiver again? Or are we going with a position that's elsewhere?
I mean,
I would go elsewhere.
Like Femi Oladajo or Jordan Birch or Ashton Jalot. Both Ohio State edges are still here.
Yeah, like I like edge there. Oladejo is the highest out of that group for me.
Agreed.
It feels weird to say they still need receiver after getting JSN and Cup in there and then Higgins, but like you just keep adding slot receivers to that offense because Higgins is a big
Yeah.
for me, and they've just got nobody to play outside.
So the Steelers did Trey Amos in round 1.
Ooh, that's new.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like we did I like this draft because it's got some first round guys that I don't know that we've mocked them there before. What running backs? Like, would you guys do Damon Martinez to the Steelers in round 3?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, he's the type of back that they like. He also has some of the breakaway speed and the tackle breaking that they look for. A guy that'll really run through the chains. So I like him in the Steelers uniform.
Cool. So now we have the Buccaneers on the clock in round 3. The Buccaneers in round 1 did round 2 they did Maxwell Harrison.
Wow, that's a pretty.
That's a good.
Slide
That's a
too.
good one.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm enjoying this mock. So they did Izaraku and Hairston. Is this a receiver? Is this Ty Felton playing?
I think you've got to look at inside linebacker. They have a serious hole.
Yeah, is
Demetrius
Pooh
Knight
gone?
was the pick there.
Is
Is
Pooh
who
Paul
gone?
gone?
Who?
Chris Paul? Pooh Paul?
Yeah, he went to Buffalo.
He went to Buffalo? Okay.
He's a Buffalo Bill.
Smart.
In this mock, he's
Smart.
a Buffalo Bill.
Smart.
Yeah, I like Demetrius Knight here. You've got, Levante Davis probably down to his last year, and once he went down last year, they had nobody to come in. So I think you really got to address that hole. And there's a pretty big fall off after Knight for me. So
Yeah. Yeah, if they're looking to add linebacker, I would go Michi.
Okay, and then we got Andy, one of our resident Broncos supporters in
there
the
we
chat.
go. Love to see Andy.
So Ashton Genty, Mason Taylor.
Wow, they got Genty at 20.
Yes. Well, some of us
That's
are anti-running back in the top 10.
I mean, normally I get that, but Savion's still here. Can we do it again? 2 mocks in a row?
Oh, we could so where are you on Savion Williams, Toriana?
Savion, I have him just outside of my top 10 receivers. I've been diving a little bit more into the analytics. I like the film. He's been one of my guys probably since October. But I'm just a little worried from an analytics standpoint and also from a route running standpoint on where he's going to get his touches the most. I like being able to use him at the running back position and then him being able to play inside and outside. It's just kind of he's more so a gadget player, and for me, I'm still haunted by Laviska Shenault. So I'm not sure where to pinpoint him at yet.
So interior defensive line is another area of need. Does a player like Caldwell or TJ Sanders in the middle of round 3 appeal to you?
Probably looking between Sanders, Norman Lott, and Phillips, I think. Norman Lott's injuries really scare me. Plus, there's some character concerns that I've heard with him. So I probably lean TJ Sanders for Denver. He's really I don't think he has the pass rushing upside to be as small as he is in my eyes, but I know a lot of people are really high on him. And I think that's pretty good value for Denver in the 3rd.
It depends more so. It depends more so what Denver's needing at the moment. Are they more so in need of pass rush or run stopping?
And usually, I want to say it's run stopping because usually the players that Denver fans like are Alfred Collins and Tyleek Williams.
Well, in that case, I'd go Jordan Phillips. But
yeah, I would say it's between those 3 guys: Phillips, Caldwell, and Ty Robinson. Caldwell is going to be a really good nose tackle in the league. Robinson has a lot of upside on the pass rushing end, but he's also a solid run defender. And then Phillips is also a nose tackle to me. He's going to be able to stuff the run. He's not going to give you a lot pass rushing wise. I think Caldwell has more pass rush upside than either of the other two. So if they're looking for somebody that's going to bring a little bit of both, but be that nose tackle to stop the run, I'd go Caldwell here.
All right, I love to hear the Caldwell love. I'm super high on that guy. So
I'm very high on Caldwell.
You don't see guys that move like he does at 330 ever. On top of it, the how deep of a pass rush bag he has, it's really, really fun tape.
Yeah, really fun tape.
So the Chargers have done Colston Loveland and Jonas Sabanea.
This has got to be receiver.
Okay.
Do you think this is receiver or running back, Drew?
I mean, you need both, but you can't go into the year with just Lad McConkey. Like it's got. I mean, especially after not that Josh Palmer was that much of a piece, but you lost him as well.
So are you looking for a true X to put opposite McConkey?
I mean,
is that like a Pat Bryant, or are you looking for something different?
For me, I think with him being your only piece, you have a little bit more freedom because McConkey can move around, I think. I like Ty Felton here. Again, I'm going to keep throwing Savion's name out there. I like that. I don't dislike Bond here. I don't dislike Jalen Royals here. I think it's a pretty tight-knit group of receivers. But I'd probably say like between Felton, Royals, and Savion.
I would probably lean Royals here.
Okay.
Get him in the slot there.
Packers are on the clock. The Packers.
Jordan Burch is looking really, really solid for them. I don't know if they've taken an edge yet, but
they did Michael Williams.
Okay.
And then Darius Alexander.
Okay, so 2 defensive linemen.
So they went trenches. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Brian Moffitt in my head the whole time. Do we have?
And they need do we think Ty Felton's a good route runner? Because my understanding is they love Higgins. But I think a lot of people like Higgins.
Yeah. Yeah. They still need safety help too, right?
When I've mocked safeties to Green Bay, I received feedback that player, like when I did Xavier Watts, they said he wouldn't even make the field.
Damn.
They said he wouldn't touch the field?
Oof.
Yeah, they said Xavier Watts. When Brian has a very open relationship with me that if I mock somebody to Green Bay, and he's like, Jim, don't do that again. I don't do safety to Green Bay again.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how you just got to respond when Brian doesn't like your Packers picks.
And I'm open to the feedback. Ultimately,
sure.
These mock drafts get better and better because people give feedback about, okay, that's not the right fit. Okay. And then we're going to turn around and do it again the next week.
Yeah. Again, I'm not sure what their thresholds are for receivers, but I don't dislike Ty Felton here. Yeah, I got to agree with that.
Yeah. I like Ty Felton here.
Okay. And then, Toriono, you're back up for the Jags. So walk us through your line of thinking right now. And I think I know who your pick is.
Yeah, somehow we finagled it, but no Williams here coming off of a 7 interception season. I mean, the ball it's a magnet. His hands are magnets at this point. The kid can really lock down and press. I've seen him play. He has good zone instincts. He has the speed. I believe he runs about a late 4.5. So, I mean, he has the intangibles. The play style fits everything that I see the Jacksonville needs. Him being the starting outside corner opposite of Tyson Campbell will work wonders for me.
Yeah, I'm so high on Noah Williams. You have a hard time finding somebody higher on than me. I love those lanky, aggressive press corners, and he's just looking to break collarbones out there.
Okay, so
and going to a team in Jacksonville that was, I think we went until week 7 without a takeaway. We are hungry for people that can take away the football.
Yeah, he's a great fit there.
Okay, so the Texans are back up in round 3. So their picks are Tyler Warren,
Bo, and
Cam Williams. Yeah. Is this a running back?
You could look at receiver or running back here. I mean,
is there a receiver like Xavier Williams. Oh, wait, Bobby Slowick got fired, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
Who's their new offensive coordinator?
I have no idea.
I know they were trying to get Chip Kelly. They didn't get Chip Kelly. Went to the Raiders. I want to say it was a fresh name. Let me see.
I think they promoted from within, didn't they?
I think they did. Let's see. Texans.
Was it the tight ends coach?
Yeah, it was. Or
Yep.
the previous Rams tight ends coach.
Okay, it was the Rams tight ends coach.
Yep.
Yeah, Nick Cayley. So he's coming from the Rams tree.
Yeah, I mean,
so we got some really good representation in the chat. We got Jake Robertson, Monday Night Draft Professor, Bill Sparks, Wednesday Night Draft Professor, Sam Teets coming off the bench as a draft professor, and Andy coming off the bench as a draft professor. Like,
stacked lineup tonight.
We do. So Houston, round 3, wide receiver.
I don't hate Restrepo here. You go because like you're putting kind of a big bet on Tank Dell to come back and be healthy to play that Z spot opposite of Nico. But I mean, if you do, you add Restrepo in as a power slot on that offense. That's a pretty solid core.
I do like Restrepo on that offense, and I think Bill Sparks would likely second that in the chat. Bill Sparks has been pounding the table for Restrepo since pretty much the day that I met Bill in October.
Yeah, people are going to freak out over this 4.8, and whether you believe the hamstring comment or not, you watch the tape, and he's not a 4.8 guy. He's not going to, he's not a burner. Everybody knew that watching tape. He's a power slot that's good at finding holes in zones, and he catches everything that gets in his radius. He's really, really powerful with the catch point, but he's not a 4.8 guy. I was expecting like low 4.6s. So I think the overreaction to the 40 time is kind of getting a little bit crazy.
Toriono, any objections to Restrepo to the Texans in round 3?
Other than not wanting to face them twice every year, I think he's a good fit there.
Okay, so the Rams are up, and they took Jihad Campbell in round 1.
They got Jihad Campbell? Wow.
Yeah,
like I said, I like the way the round 1 of this mock turned out.
Feels like it could be Makuba, or I don't know what kind of how many outside DBs are left.
Well, didn't Makuba already go?
Did we take
Makuba?
No.
Oh, Makuba did not go.
So the Rams have 2 picks here, and I think one would be a corner, but the other one can be a wild card. Do you like Makuba?
Pair him up with Kitchens. You get a pretty solid backcourt right there.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. And Makuba's probably sniped 1 pick before the Ravens. Because the Ravens needed a safety. That was actually a sneaky good pick there. The Ravens have taken Quincy Riley in round 2. And they took Mike Green. So Mike Green, Quincy Riley.
Wow.
Mike Green fell to 27?
That's crazy.
Like I said, I feel good about how round 1 of this turned out. We can go review it for the people at the end, but I liked doing the round 1 and 2 with Jake. That was it was his first time on the podcast. He's a Packers podcaster. Brian works with him on the Cheesehead TV guide. But he was a really good guest, and he's going to be back on Saturday, but I hope he can do more with us. So anyway, so we've done edge, followed by corner, with the idea that Quincy Riley could. There was a good conversation there. So we were talking: do the Ravens go Makuba in round 2, or do we give him Quincy Riley, which could be a boundary corner or slot, so Kyle Hamilton can go back? Or so Kyle Hamilton can go back to his slot. Like, it gives you an extra piece to work with the defense, and that was why that pick was Quincy Riley, because it does open up some of the things you do with Kyle Hamilton.
I mean, if you really want to get crazy and let that happen, you can go get Jonas Sanker right here.
Do you like
You
Sanker
could.
in round 3?
It's a little bit of a
But-
reach, but not that much to me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a reach. I have him with a 4th round grade.
He's an early 4th for me. So.
But I mean, you're at the tail end of the 3rd round. If it's your guy and you think he opens up the defensive backfield for you, I think you take Sanker here.
Okay.
I think he has the size profile that Baltimore likes as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a big, stocky safety.
This is Seattle's 5th pick of this mock. They took Femi Oladajo earlier in round 3. They took Gray Zabel and Jaden Higgins in round 2 and Nick Emmanwori in round 1. So
Gunnar
Emmanwori,
Helm
Zabel,
feels like the guy.
Higgins.
They still got a pretty big hole at tight end. Gunnar Helm's still sitting there at the tail end of the 3rd.
Where do you have Helm, Toriano?
I have Helm below Fannin, but I like guys that can. Yeah, I have both with 3rd round grades. I have Fannin just above Helm, but I like Helm as well. If you guys like Helm there, I like him there.
Cool.
They should replace Fant with that inline kind of role.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints, this is their 4th pick of the mock. They took David Walker earlier in round 3. In addition to Emeka Egbuka. So I believe it's Josh Simmons, Emeka Egbuka, David Walker. Is this a running back or a receiver? What? They've already taken Egbuka.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jacob Parrish here.
Or, okay. Where are you on Parrish, Toriano?
I like Parrish a lot. Parrish was one of my sleepers coming out of December.
Yeah.
So to see him here going in the 3rd round, I'm very pleased with that.
Yeah, I think it'd be a crime to see him fall out of day 2. He's one of my favorite guys in this whole class.
Okay, so Bill Sparks, we'll give you your Cleveland mock. Round 1 was Shador. Round 2 was Burden. The original round 3 was Anthony Belton. So I'm thinking, if I had to remember the Browns team needs, I'm thinking this is slot corner, but we haven't addressed defensive line yet either. And like TJ Sanders is still here at the end of round 3.
What's available at edge?
Jalot, Birch, both Ohio State guys. Elijah Roberts.
Rucker, Chad Joyner.
Okay, and Bill is pounding the table for Fannin.
Okay.
And
there we go.
I know that you like Fannin too, Toriano. So Drew is outvoted 2-1.
2-1. Fair enough.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
And
I like Fannin for them. I was going to say Fannin would be my pick here, especially exactly for them to run 12 personnel. I just wasn't sure how you guys felt about it with them having Njoku there as well.
I don't dislike Fannin at all as a second guy in 12 personnel. I think he's got a pretty nice niche there. I think having him as kind of a floaty like H-back gadget guy or a second tight end to 12 personnel could be really fun.
Yeah, and Drew, when I said that you were outvoted, hopefully you know I'm teasing you.
I know.
Yeah, okay.
Look, this is a cold world in mock draft world. I mean, you get outruled. That's how it is. That's how the rules work. So
okay, so this is Kansas City's 4th pick. They've done Omarion Hampton, fell to them in round 3.
Crazy.
Alec Isle Manor, and Donovan Jackson. So Donovan Jackson, Alec Isle Manor.
This could be TJ Sanders. They don't have anybody but next to Chris Jones.
I like that.
Yeah.
And there's a reason
like
that he's at the top of the board, right?
Yeah. I like that.
Okay. Eagles are on the clock. This is their 3rd pick. The Eagles have taken Joshua Farmer and Princely. So Princely and Joshua Farmer. Is there a slot corner here that we like?
Upton Stout.
Yeah, I like Upton Stout.
I know people. I think Dorian Strong's probably around this range too. I'm a little bit lower on him, but I know people like him in the third.
Yeah, I like Dorian Strong too. I like him more so in the fourth round. I don't know if you have him fourth round too,
I'm there with you.
So, Bill,
I was going to mention that, Bill. I've already said his name like 5 times. I didn't want to keep bringing it up.
thinking slot receiver
if Drew's
here,
pounding
too.
the table, we got to get Savian in this mock. So
I can't let him fall fourth. That would hurt too much.
So, Drew, why are you pounding the table for Savian Williams?
I think I was actually on a Titans podcast earlier this afternoon talking about receivers, and I kind of gave the full description there. I think Savion suffers from a lot of the same stuff Luther Burden has in 2024, where you have a team that has a really awesome receiver, and they kind of panic and don't know how to use him, so they slap him as a gadget kind of decoy guy. And Savion's good in that role. Don't get me wrong; he's an awesome running back. He's great with the ball in his hands. I understand why they want to use him as a gadget player, but he's so good at receiver, and they didn't let him play it nearly enough. The movement skills are the best I've ever seen at like 6'4", 220. I think he is. He's a way better separator than people give him credit for. I know the drop issues are a problem, but you see how good the hands are in contested catch situations. I don't think it's an ability issue with the hands. You just gotta it's mental focus drops, and that's something you can iron out pretty easily in the league. And I feel pretty comfortable taking a bet on his upside.
Okay, the Vikings are up. This is their second pick of the mock. I believe in round 1 they took Azare Thomas.
I like Miles Frazier here. They could also go running back, but they need interior offensive line help, and I love Miles Frazier.
Where are you on Frazier, Toriano?
I like Miles Frazier. I think he's really good in the phone booth as well.
Yeah.
I think he could be a plug-and-play type guy for them.
Okay.
He does not move like 317, whatever he is. When he gets to the second level, they hurry.
Okay, so the Dolphins are up. This is their third pick. In round 2, they took Tyler Booker. And in round 1, Malachi Starks. So Malachi Starks, Tyler Booker.
I love that draft.
Like I said, I think we're cooking. I think this is an interior line.
Yeah. I don't dislike Jordan Phillips here. I could see Shamar Turner maybe. Deion Walker continues to be a harder and harder spot to find for me.
I think here for what they need, I would probably take Jordan Phillips.
I agree.
I'll probably go Jordan Phillips here.
Okay, so we have 4 picks left in this mock. So if there's a guy that you say that you're really high on that we need to get into the third round, we will pound the table, and each of you basically will get to pick 2 guys.
Okay.
So the Giants are here. This is their 4th pick of the mock. Milam in round 3. And then I think it was Milroe and Hunter.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how high up receiver is on the list of needs, but that guy for me is going to be Kyle Williams. He's got to get in this mock.
Kyle Williams. Oh, yeah. All right. Give me a high five.
There we go. There we go. Find another Kyle Williams supporter on the channel.
And that's what we do here. 49ers with their 4th pick of the mock. They've done Aeneas Peebles.
They got Connerly late too, didn't they?
Yeah. So it was Connerly.
And then Barron?
It was Will Johnson, Connerly, Aeneas Peebles.
Okay.
You could look at inside linebacker for them too. They lost Dre Greenlaw. They used a lot of 2 inside linebacker sets. They don't,
they might need another.
Really have anybody outside,
right? You lost Hufunga.
Yeah, I don't know. Malik Mustafa was really good, but you need a guy next to him. I don't love the safety board right now, but
Jalot and Birch and the Ohio State guys are still here.
I don't dislike Jordan Birch in that group either.
Turner is still here. Ty Hamilton is still here.
What's there at safety?
Waller, Moore, Ransom, Mickens. Frazier is still here. Have they taken a corner?
You said
they took
yeah,
a corner.
Will
They took Will Johnson. They took Will
Didn't you
Johnson.
say it was Jade Barron? Not Will.
Or wait, yeah, you're right. This one was
Yeah,
Jade Barron. You're right.
For that, I don't hate Frazier because for me, Barron's a nickel. So if you get Barron in the slot and have Frazier as an outside guy, I don't dislike that.
I actually like that. I like that.
And then Dorian Strong is still here as well.
I like
Frazier
here.
You guys are pounding the table for Frazier. That's
I think Frazier, he deserves that respect. I think
for sure.
I think he deserves to be here in the third round.
I agree.
Okay, so the Rams are up.
Is this corner?
The Rams
did
Jihad Campbell and Andrew Makuba.
Okay.
Is this receiver?
I'm thinking slot receiver here.
Yeah, you could use that. They also need inside linebacker help. But again, that board is kind of thinned out.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think the board may have thinned out. So for slot receiver, do you like Efton Chisholm in round 3? Is that Bond?
I think Bond can play slot.
I think
Ricky
Bond
White
can play. Ricky White is a good one. Ja'Cory Brooks is a good one.
Is there somebody that you would pound the table for?
Listen,
oh my God.
But Isaac TeSlaa out of Arkansas could be an awesome big slot. I've got a 4th on him right now. It's a little bit of a reach, but he could be a really, really fun big slot.
Is Whittington taking the place of Cup in the slot?
I thought Whittington was an outside guy for them. I could be wrong. I haven't paid super close attention to their.
Yeah, I haven't watched too much of him. I know he's a riser, but I haven't seen.
Is there a running back? You're looking at oh my God, how did he get to the end of round 3?
Let's see.
Whether that be
Sampson, Neal. I really like Neal's vision, especially coming out, being able to manage the line of scrimmage and then cut and burst. If they're looking for a guy, but I think you're fine with Corum and
I think they're too set to spend this valuable draft capital there.
Yeah.
Is there a tight end? Is there a tight end here that you
probably Ferguson?
I love Terrence Ferguson.
I love Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, if they didn't go tight end in round 1, I like that fit a lot.
Yeah, I think Terrence Ferguson would be a good fit for the Rams.
Look at that.
Okay, so yeah.
Love to see another Terrence Ferguson supporter too. We're on the same page.
We're cooking right now. The last
right, we're clicking right here.
Yeah, we're clicking.
What do we got here? Lions. What do they had?
So Sam, I love it. I love you with
they got Atwell back.
I was
every roster and how they use their players. That's awesome.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, I was thinking he was going to play some slot.
Sam's the GOAT, man. He's always in here.
Okay, so the Lions did Tate Ratledge in round 2.
Okay.
Matthew Golden, Tate
they
Ratledge.
Need edge. They need edge, like it's going out of style.
Is this Jordan Birch?
They love the big body edge rushers. That would be a great
I think that's Jordan Birch.
It's amazing how 3 of us converge on the same player. It's like we've podcasted with each other before, and we know where the boards are. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through round 1, just so that you guys kind of get a feel for how it laid out. I don't think there's any surprise with the first 5 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? T-Mac went at 6.
Oof, that's steep for me.
And that was where Jake had him on the board, right? So I don't know that I've heard enough that T-Mac goes in the top 10, but I'm trying to remember the podcaster.
If you ask me, I think he's closer to falling out of the top 20 than he is to going in the top 10, if you ask me. I think the main shot there is the Saints. The Saints are the wild card there.
Yeah, the Saints, I think, would take him at 9 if he fell.
So one of the draft professors, and Toriono, I don't know if it was you, if it was Durst or somebody else, said something to the effect of T-Mac is going to be a top 32 NFL wide receiver the day he's drafted. The question that you have, the question that you have with T-Mac is he ever going to be a wide receiver one? So meaning that when he comes in, he's at least setting the floor of your wide receiver room that you have something. He is a definite NFL starter. He's just not going to be the Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Brian Thomas Jr. type that we saw last year, but he's going to be able to come in and be your wide receiver too. So I can warm up to that in the top 10. Membu went at 7.
Love
Kenneth
that.
Grant at 8. Either of those
That's
picks
early.
surprise you?
Ooh, not Mimbo. I love that fit. Grant is a shock.
But I've seen people mock him this high, so I'm not as shocked as I could be. If somebody had said, "Oh, Grant at 5," then I would just say Trent Baalke is not here anymore. But yeah, I think Grant, he could finagle his way into the top 10, but it would take an amazing pro day, in my opinion. But I think he probably goes top 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
We consider Grant at 7. So when we were doing the mock, Grant was under consideration at 7, and he was off the board at 8.
Yeah.
Okay. Josh Simmons at 9 and Will Johnson at 10. Either of those surprise you?
I mean, I've been a Josh Simmons truther for a while now. He's my off the tackle one. I from what I've heard that he's well ahead of recovery at where he's supposed to be with that knee. I think he's on track to have a pro day. I have no issues with that pick whatsoever. I know they're spending back-to-back top picks on tackle, but it's just how it is in the NFL. Will Johnson, I'm still flipping back and forth on Will Johnson because I think he's a very technically sound corner, but I know there's injury concerns. I think the top end athleticism scares me a little bit. I probably like edge better for the Bears right there, but I'm not that upset at the player.
Yeah, I've been going down. I've been on the downtrend with Will Johnson, especially with how he's approached the pre-draft process.
Yeah.
And then there were so many things talked about for his season as far as injuries, whether it was the toe turf, then it was the shoulder, then they were saying he was going to be ready for the pro day, and now he's not going to participate. It just seems like he's not the gamer that everybody was talking him up to be. And we just saw Xavier Restrepo pull a hamstring right before his 40 time and still run and come out on X and say, hey, this is the honest truth. This is what happened. I felt confident that I could run a 4.5, and it just didn't happen. But I knew that I needed to do what I needed to do regardless. I'm a baller.
So where is Will Johnson on your boards? Is he in your top 10?
No.
Not for me.
He's corner 3, but he's not in my top 10.
Got it.
I think I'm in the same spot.
So this is the first surprise. So right there, we'll say that surprise number 1 is Will Johnson going at 10. Jahdae Barron at 11.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not upset at it by any means. I feel like Barron has just continuously climbed higher in mock drafts, and you can't really be upset almost wherever he goes because it just depends really on where you value nickel. Because I think a lot of people have it valued really low. I personally don't. I think nickel is a very valuable position, and I think he's probably an all-pro caliber nickel as soon as he gets in the league. So I can't be mad at that wherever you take him.
Okay, Will Campbell, Malachi Starks, Walter Nolan. Any of those picks surprise you?
Walter Nolan does. I haven't seen that to the Colts, I don't think, yet in this whole cycle.
Yes, and that was one of the reasons I like this. I mean, he fits what the Colts draft.
Yeah.
Right.
He fits a need. He does fit a need.
Yeah, they need somebody next to Buckner.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, I'm not surprised by it. I think he does go top 15 somehow.
Yep. So, and this is where I started smiling, like, okay, we're going to have a different mock because Tyler Booker didn't go in the top 14. So, right, because at 13 and 14, you'd begin to talk about Tyler Warren, excuse me. You'd talk about Tyler Warren at 13 and 14, and he wasn't taken. So there's part of the story. Okay. Shamar Stewart to the Falcons. Any surprise?
Scott's going to hate it, but I think it's great. it's going to be a great pick for them.
Yep. Jalen Walker, then Derek Harmon. Either of those picks surprise you?
Not necessarily. I don't think I've seen Jalen Walker to the Cardinals, but I wouldn't say it surprises me.
And this is where, again, it gets different because Jake is like, this is the kind of game record that they need. You just got to figure out.
Jalen Walker's my edge too, so I'm fully with him on that.
Yep. And then Derek Harmon seems to fit what the Bengals need on the inside, pass rush upside.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is where we started to get cooking. So Emin Mori went to the Seahawks, and I think that that's a really good scheme fit for McDonald. I don't think that pick surprises too many people. Izaraku, where do you guys have him on your board?
He is, I'm pretty sure, I'm still floating some stuff around, but he's probably going to end up a borderline top 20 player for me. I'm a big Izaraku guy.
Yeah. I have him as a top 20 player, and I think he's edge 3 on my board.
Yep. And he went at 19th overall. So
Yeah.
we're still cooking.
That's a great
right?
fit, too, because he's such a Todd Bowles edge defender.
Okay. Genty, no surprise, right?
That's a home run.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Best pick of the draft.
So keep in mind, Tyler Warren didn't get picked here. So there was a discussion here. Is it Tyler Warren or Genty?
I don't
Right?
see how that's a
Genty.
discussion personally. Yeah.
Okay. Trey Amos to the Steelers. How high do you guys have Amos?
The newest one.
I have
He's
him
in my
high
top 50.
second round.
Yeah, he's a second round grade for me. I really like him, but it's a lot of corner inflation because there's a lot of those aggressive press corners at the very top. Like I have Zarya over him, but I still do really like Trey Amos.
Agreed. Yeah, they know they won't get him there in the second round. So if you like the guy that much and you would prefer the 5th-year option on him, I think you take him there.
For sure. I don't think it's that much for reach by any means.
No. I have him early second. So taking him at 21 is not too far off.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, this is us cooking. Because as this mock got to this point, I'm like, we have something here as far as like, okay, so Colston Loveland goes here to the Chargers. Is there really even another player that you consider? And it's not really. Like you're starting to run out of your first round grades, and we may have ran out of your first round grades when we chose Amos, right?
Yeah.
So Loveland here made sense. Jake is a Packers fan, so that's his pick. I'm not going to debate it. Azare Thomas at 24 to the Vikings.
That's a good one. I love it.
He's
a top 30 guy for me. I don't understand why he's not getting more first round buzz.
I would have loved him at 36. So taking him at 24, he's a good get.
He's such a good press man corner.
Yeah. So the conclusion would be Tyler Warren would fall no further than the Rams. Like, because we were sitting here and we're like, it's not the perfect fit for the Texans, but how could you not take it?
Yeah. You need to add to that receiving core regardless.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he needs blocking. I'd still be terrified to not take a tackle there with how bad Stroud was under fire last season, and then you go and trade your franchise tackle. I feel like for me, regardless of how bad of process it is when it comes to draft world, it's just I would almost have blinders on, like you take a tackle no matter what for them because I'm that scared. But,
isn't Blake Fisher their projected right tackle?
I think so.
Correct.
Which is oof.
Correct. So, but this is actually a great discussion because do you have another tackle that you have a first round grade on that hasn't been taken here? Because at this point, Simmons and Membu are off the board. Do you have a first round grade on Connerly or Ursary?
I mean, I would have taken Banks.
So do you take the higher graded player or do you take the tackle?
For me, it's tackle, but I'm somebody that's always been kind of on the opposite side of the DPA positional value debate or positional need. Because I think a lot of times most people can't afford to pass on positional needs. I think BPA is a luxury that very few teams can afford.
Yeah, especially with you having, I understand Dalton Schultz is not a superstar tight end, but
he's not bad enough to replace.
Tight end. Yeah, he's not bad enough to where it's a need. You know, you still have Case Stover there. He's a solid option. He played at Ohio State with with CJ Stroud, so they have some chemistry there. They scored a couple touchdowns together last year. I mean, taking Kelvin Banks kind of takes a little bit of a headache off of you, more so than Tyler Warren. You still got to throw the ball and get the ball to him.
Yep.
Okay. Jihad Campbell to the Rams. Is that
That's a
surprise?
home run. I'm just shocked he fell this far.
Well, he's injured. He's going to miss the first 6 to 8 weeks.
Even with that, he's a top 10 player for me. I think he's just
but if you're a new GM, like take the GM Seattle. Can they afford as a new GM to take a player that's going to miss 8 weeks? Right. And then you can start asking yourself that same question at Arizona or Atlanta. Right.
I'd be surprised to see him fall past Atlanta there, to be honest. But because I understand he's going to miss right up to probably week 1-ish. But like, I still think with how good of a player he is, that's a risk I'd take.
So Mike Green to the Ravens.
I think this is the second biggest steal of the entire first round.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Atlanta took Shamar Stewart over Mike Green, especially after the pro day he just had today.
That free throw was nuts, man.
Mike Green has been my guy since the beginning of this past season. I had us, before anybody was talking about us, I was like, please get him in the third round. Please get him. Now he's a first-round prospect, and I think he's going to go top 15.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's had probably the biggest rise of any prospect in this draft cycle, and he's deserved it.
Yeah. He's somebody I got on, like, probably in September, and he's been like, he's edge 4 for me right now. He's a first-round grade.
Yeah.
The off-field stuff's concerning, but on the field, he's such a good player.
Such a good player. I think going to Baltimore is like a home run for them because they have the infrastructure.
That's just the typical, a crazy top 10 player in the draft falls to Baltimore at 27 somehow, and the whole league is pissed about it.
Okay, what do you think? And like at 28, that was BPA all the way. It doesn't fit a need, but Jake has a first-round grade on Golden.
I think it does fit a need.
Golden got to here.
That's the thing. Like, I don't think it's a gaping hole at edge for them, but they certainly need more edge talent. So when you have a guy that talented fall to you, I think it still falls under positional need at that point.
Yeah.
So what do you think of Golden at 28?
I mean, I think they need edge, but when a guy like Matthew Golden falls to you at another positional need, I don't really dislike it at all.
Yeah, having those three guys on the field with Golden, Amon-Ra, and J-Mo, that's
a tough
must see. That's must see TV.
Yeah,
they're already must see TV.
And this is where we were, again, just going through round 1, we're like, okay, who's left? By the time we got to 27, Jake was like, Jake was surprised that Green fell. He was surprised that Golden fell.
Receivers are tough when you're mocking this year because, like, you have your opportunity at the Cowboys at 12, and if you don't go there, there's a big gap in the middle where receivers really can't go. And it's really, really hard to mock these guys this year.
Right. So Kelvin Banks over Ursery or Connerly. That surprised me. But the discussion there was Banks could play guard for the Commanders. And then if Tunsil retires, they could try Banks at tackle.
Ooh, I think that's really bad process to take a guy like Banks at 30 off that thought process.
That was the thought process.
That's the kind of thing that gets you fired. I think Banks. I'm somebody that's low on Banks, but I think pushing him to guard only makes the problems worse. I don't think it's going to solve any of his issues. And if you want somebody to play that role to be a good guard and have tackle flexibility, Donovan Jackson's sitting right there. He went 3 picks later. I don't have a problem with that thought process necessarily, but I have a problem with thinking through that and taking Kelvin Banks. If you're taking Donovan Jackson based off that thought process, I love it.
Yeah, but Kelvin Banks, I think he walks in and he's your right tackle.
Yeah, if you're playing with tackle, I'm lower than that on him, but I think the league is higher, so I don't hate it. But taking him to play guard in the first round is kind of brutal.
I like his film and I like the analytics. The analytics shows like as a pass protector, he's the top pass protector in the class analytically. The film doesn't love him, but I like his film. I'm not a diehard slam the table for Kelvin Banks, but I think getting him at 30 is a pretty good value, especially getting a starting tackle.
Okay. So Tyleek Williams to Buffalo. So here was my thought process. I didn't like the corner board. So corner is the position of need. I didn't like the corner board. So then you go to edge, interior line, and receiver. Luther Burden here makes me smile. Like we could. The challenge is Khalil Shakir has to line up in the slot.
See, I don't think Burden's a slot guy. People have started cornering in Burden as a slot guy. I think he's a Z.
I think he's a Z. I think if you have Coleman as your X, Burden as your Z, and Shakir as your Y, you might be cooking, especially if Coleman takes another step.
Correct. So, but here was my point. So, yes, Burden would be the Z, and Shakir is the slot. It means pretty much you have two players with almost the same skill set. I realize I shouldn't say the same skill set. That was the wrong way to say it. You have two guys who are interchangeable, and maybe like it wouldn't shock me if that pick were Bird. It would not shock me because you just let Josh Allen cook.
Yeah.
But what I also know is that the tier difference between Tyleek Williams and the CJ Wests of the world is significant.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want one of those big guys, get him in round one. I liked the cornerback board, right? Because I would have taken Noel Williams in the second round. So, like, Toriono, you're like waiting for him to fall in the back of round 3. If you didn't know this, Cal is one of the most heavily scouted schools by Buffalo.
Okay.
So we track the scouts. There's only one player that we would be going to Cal to watch.
No Williams, yeah.
Right. They have a safety too, don't they? But like, we all know it's no.
Yeah, Craig Woodson.
Teddy Buchanan, I think.
Yeah, Craig Woodson is solid. I think he'll go day 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't gotten around to watching him yet, but I heard the name.
But the reason I point that out is Buffalo needs a kick returner, and Williams returns kicks. And in addition to that, like I could see Buffalo trading down a little bit in round 2 to maybe take Williams at the top of round 3. But if Buffalo misses on a corner in round 1, I think the corner is going to be either Noel Williams or Darian Porter in round 2.
Those are both great options.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, so Sam, I see your comment. So you don't think the drop between Tyleek and Caldwell is significant?
I kind of agree, honestly. I didn't want to say it all that much out loud, but if Sam's going to say it, I'll say it with him. I really agree with that.
Okay. Like, as I read and keeping in mind that because I'm just looking at different people's rankings of the players and listening to podcasts and, the people like you on the Draft Professor. I never saw people mocking like Jamari Caldwell anywhere near where Alfred Collins is going. Like, to me, there's a tier of Harmon, Grant, Nolan, and then there's a tier break, and then there's Tyleek Williams and Alfred Collins.
I just think people severely underrate Jamari Caldwell. He's one of the most underrated guys in this class. I love Jamari Caldwell. I love both of you guys. And then Donovan Jackson to Kansas City.
And that logic was he didn't like the tackle board, but you have to give Kansas City some flexibility. So Donovan Jackson gives you flexibility. You're probably drafting him as a guard, but he could play tackle.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think Luther Burden on the board probably gets more of a look from them, but I don't dislike the pick.
Okay, and so then anyway, that wraps up what the round 1 was. Toriono, do you want to take a minute, introduce yourself in case our guests haven't met you before?
Yes, my name is Toriono. I work with ESPN 690 as a personality. I also work with football analysis as a writer. You can catch me covering the Jacksonville Jaguars this upcoming offseason and season. I'm also here on the Draft Professor mainly every Tuesday. I also participate in some mock drafts. I look forward to creating more content with you guys. And you can follow me at all socials as well as YouTube at Toriono Knows Ball or at Toriono KB on X, formerly known as Twitter.
And Drew.
Yeah. You can find me at pretty much everything I do, all the cut-ups, film, draft talk, at Iron City Film on Twitter. I also do some Titans and draft writing for Stadium Rant. But yeah, pretty much everything I do is here, Stadium Rant, or on Twitter. And yeah, just at Iron City Film. Or X. I'm still used to calling it Twitter. I'll never stop.
It's X-Twitter. We'll just call it X-Twitter.
That one doesn't roll quite off the tongue, but I'll try to get used to it.
X-Twitter. It looks way better when you type it than when you say it.
That's true.
But it's X-Twitter. You can follow the channel on X-Twitter at NFL Draft Fanatic. No, I am Fanatic. It is the same on YouTube. And the best thank you can give is to subscribe on YouTube. Please and thank you. We have daily draft content coming your way. Tomorrow night, Bill Sparks, who is in the chat for this podcast, will be hosting a podcast tomorrow night, as well as actually I think my favorite episode of the week is actually going to be tomorrow, with all due respect, guys. EJ is doing an episode on players that fit a Fangio defense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. So that'll be EJ at 7 doing the Fangio defense, and then Bill Sparks and Jacob at 8:30. And then we have Owen on Thursday, and then I have to figure out what we're doing on Friday. I don't know if we're doing a 32G, a mock, or something else, but we will do something on Friday. So daily draft content, come to the channel, check it out. Thank you for stopping by. We are going to close this down. We're 80 minutes in. Appreciate everybody that's here, and we will see you on a podcast again tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.